a guided meditation based on the man Simon of Cyrene, who was forced to carry Jesus' cross. There is a freshness about the early morning in the Judean hills. The air is crisp and clean, and the dew sparkles on the low vines. You are excited. For years you have dreamed of the day you could celebrate the Passover in Jerusalem. Now, today, you are living your dream as you and your family have been able to travel here from your hometown in North Africa. Jerusalem is beautiful. It is so white and compact and regal somehow. And the temple, well, that is magnificent and does not disappoint. It's all that people said it would be, and more. You, your wife, and your two sons, Alexander and Rufus, have arranged to spend the Passover with a family you know who live in Jerusalem. You had thought it right that you spend the whole day with your host so that you could help them with the preparations, and so you've left the village where you're staying early in the morning. By the time you and your family have entered the city, you are aware that there is an added air of excitement. There are so many people here. Many have travelled from their villages to be in Jerusalem so they can share in the Passover. People move about the streets with purpose, making their way to the temple to carry out the relevant sacrifice. And there are groups of people talking together. You can't quite catch the mood of their discussions. The name Jesus keeps cropping up. From what you can make out, he appears to be some sort of prophet from a place called Nazareth, you think. As you walk on, you hear others mentioning his name. He must be quite a prophet. You hear people talking about the healings he'd performed. One person even mentioned about how he has raised a dead man in some nearby village. And apparently, at the beginning of the week, this prophet, Jesus, had led some sort of procession into the city. People have waved palm leaves and shouted Hosanna, declaring him to be the Messiah. Afterwards, he had gone to the temple with his followers and turned over the tables, shouting something about, "My house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves." From what you can gather, this hadn't gone down at all well, and the Pharisees were now trying to find ways to stop him. Where is he at this moment, you wondered? For it would be good to see firsthand this interesting, controversial prophet that everyone seems to be talking about. The city is unbelievably crowded, and the noise from the people is deafening. You and your family are used to the country where the sounds of the birds are the only ones to compete for attention, not this cacophony of sound that leaves your son's eyes wide and slightly alarmed. They huddle in close to you. You make your way along the narrow streets, noticing the many different shops, all closed today because of the Passover. Suddenly, you are aware of a procession moving towards you. You can just make out a banner signalling a Roman battalion are approaching and hear the crack of the soldiers' whips as they push and shout for people to move out of their way. There is an ugly feel to this, and you instinctively reach out to your sons and wife to bring them close to you. How do you feel? Are you concerned, frightened, alarmed about what is happening? The crowd surrounding these Roman soldiers comes nearer. You are aware of many people bustling around and shouting angrily. They're walking half backwards whilst they try to get sight of the spectacle that is moving along behind them. Behind the people jostling at the front, you can begin to make out the chiselled, expressionless faces of the Roman soldiers who are conditioned to ignore the shouts from the mob and remain focused on their mission. And their mission, as they came closer to where you were, is something to do with the three men who are carrying heavy crossbeams. A soldier is in front of each of the men carrying a wooden sign. The noise and confusion is awful, and you're frightened for the safety of your wife and your two sons. You try to push them and yourself away from the crowd, but it is no good as you are bundled along with them further down the street. You try as much as you can to hold on to your youngest son's hands, but even that is difficult as you feel your hands more or less being prized apart. Look around you. What else do you see? What do you hear? Suddenly, without warning, the procession comes to a halt. It appears that the second prisoner has stumbled. You check that your son is okay and then strain to see what is happening. The shouting from the crowds has stopped just for a moment. It's as if the whole world is holding its breath, waiting to see what will happen next. The man is lying flat on his face. He is in the middle of the street, which unfortunately is where the sewage channel runs, and so he's covered with the filth of the sewage. You look over and just have time to read the sign that the soldier in front of him had been carrying before he drops it to the floor and kicks at the prisoner, yelling at him like some animal to get up. The sign said, "King of the Jews," and you mouth the words to yourself. Is this the man from Nazareth they'd been speaking about? The prophet? The Messiah? The same man who had been part of a great procession only a few days ago and had heard cries of Hosanna rather than the jeering and shouting that was going on now. How can this be? What has changed? Perhaps he was a fraud, a rogue. We've had many mad men who've claimed to be a Messiah, but there is something about this man. You can't put your finger on it, but you can't help but be drawn to him. You watch as he lies on the ground, trying to preempt his next move. What will happen? As you study him, you can make out what looks like a bird's nest on his head and wonder why that is there. And then it dawns on you that it's supposed to be some sort of makeshift crown, a crude, twisted shape which is made from, no, it can't be, thorns. They have been rammed onto his head with such force that they have pierced his scalp. It must have been some time ago, for dried blood streaks his face and mats his beard, but the fall must have opened up some of the wounds, for fresh blood is oozing from them. You cast your eyes over his helpless body as he lies there face down in the street, and you can also make out streaks of blood staining his tunic. He must have been flogged as well. His back must be red raw from their barbaric torture, and then, to top it all, they've placed this rough-cut, heavy crossbeam on him. It's no wonder this poor man has collapsed. You hold your sons close and shield their eyes from the scene before you. There is only so much a person can take. How do you feel looking at this helpless man, suffering not only physically, but mentally from the shouts of abuse and humiliation from the crowds and the guards? Look at the man spread-eagled in the street, his face in the gutter, the heavy crossbeam all askew across his mangled back. Look around at the people in the crowd. What are they shouting? How does it make you feel? Suddenly your thoughts are broken by the centurion shouting, "Get him to his feet! We haven't got all day!" The soldier who had been carrying the sign kicks the prisoner again. You think that it might be more from frustration that the prisoner is still on the ground than because he wants to throw his weight around. You know how the Roman army works and the trouble he could get in from the centurion if he doesn't get the man back up. But you can see it's no use. This man is nearly at death's door, and it's unlikely that he will ever make it to the place of execution. The soldier turns to the centurion and shouts, "It's no good, sir. He's had it." But as you look on, the prisoner has made his way onto his knees, struggling and stumbling as he tries to get to his feet. He lifts his arm up to wipe away the blood and sweat that is running down his face. He gasps for breath, and then he gropes around like a man reaching for something in the dark. What is he trying to do? Someone beside you says in utter disbelief, I think he's searching for his cross. Why would he do that? Why would he continue with this appointment with death? Why give the Romans the satisfaction? He is like those lambs that are sacrificed each Passover. What do the scriptures say? Like a lamb to the slaughter? You can't help but catch your breath and stifle a sob at this remarkable sight. The centurion shouts again, Get someone to carry this crossbeam for him. We can't have him dying out here. A soldier looks around at the crowd who've started to edge away. He goes to pick on a Jew who folds his arms in defiance and, without words, challenges him to dare to pick on him. Realizing that he is a Jew and knowing that today of all days he could not get them to do anything, he shouts back to the centurion, I can't pick a Jew to do it, not today. It's one of their feast days. They'd lynch us right here in the street. Well, get that man to do it, the centurion shouts, and you realize that he is pointing straight at you. You turn to the people on either side who edge away from you, as if you have just been diagnosed with some infectious disease. The colour drains from your face and you feel a chill across your body. All eyes turn towards you and you start to feel your heartbeat even faster. Your son pushes his hand into yours and looks up at you for reassurance. You smile nervously down at him and tell him not to worry, not knowing whether that was more for yourself or for him. The soldier has now drawn his sword and is walking towards you. He brings the flat of it down on your shoulder and says, You see this crossbeam? Well, I order you to carry it. Fear and anger simultaneously rise up in you, but you know you can't let him know that. You really don't want to be involved. Your wife is sobbing and your sons are cuddled into her, hiding their faces from what is going on. You don't want to be separated from your wife and sons. You don't want to be any part of it, so you try to protest. I don't want any trouble. I'm here for the Passover. I'm from Africa. I'm also a Jew. But it's no good. They're not listening. And if anything, the crowd around you are pushing you forward, grateful that it is not any one of them. Roman law, the soldier says. You don't have any choice. It's Roman law, see? So I don't care where you come from, and at this point, whether you are a Jew or not. Whilst you're here, you obey us. So pick it up. You feel so much anger now. You can feel it bubbling up inside you. Your cheeks are getting redder and redder, and your hands are now fists ready to lash out if you need to, like a caged animal trying to protect itself. You are just about to lose your temper when your eyes meet with the man struggling on the ground to get up. His eyes look at you appealingly, but also with gratitude. But there is also something else. Is that urgency in his eyes? It's as if his eyes are telling you it's got to be done. That if he couldn't carry it, someone else would have to, the way a banner has to be raised again when the flag bearer's fallen in battle. You don't understand what purpose he thinks it served, but whatever it is, it seems to mean everything in the world to him. So you pick up the crossbeam and help him to his feet, supporting his broken body as much as you can as he leans heavily against you. He tries with such determination to place one foot in front of the other, and you both begin to make your way forwards. You had never known such determination and strength of spirit. You both move slowly onwards through the streets, the two of you close and silent, and you can't help but wonder what this man beside you must be feeling. It's all right for you. You will be a free man again in an hour or two, and back with your family. Tomorrow you will all spend a quiet Shabbat. But for him, there would be no more tomorrows, no more time with family or friends. The centurion would make sure of that. This man beside you would never wake up to a bright new day again, never get to laugh and chat with those people he loved, never see the sun set majestically over the rolling hills or hear the sounds of the bird in a dawn chorus. With each step, you try to imagine what you might be feeling if you were him. What would those last remaining hours hold for you if you knew your life was about to end? What would it feel like to be staring death in the face? And what about the humiliation you would endure at the place of execution, the being stripped naked, the excruciating pain as the hammer blows fall and the nails pierce through your body, the struggle for breath? For you knew that to die this way was to slowly suffocate, to feel your breath being squeezed out of you until it didn't bear thinking about. When you get to the hill, you see that the crowds have gathered around the site of execution. The clouds are stirring mischievously, reflecting the mood of the guards. They are swilling down wine, you expect numbing their senses for what they are about to do. One of the other prisoners has already been nailed to the cross and raised into place. He is screaming and twisting his body, but that isn't helping him, it's only making matters worse. The prisoner you had helped is in a crumpled heap on the stony ground. His knees are bloodied, and they're pulling his tunic from his body. It rips at the scabs that have formed from the cuts to his back, and the blood begins to flow again. How much more can this man take? Is it really necessary to put him on the cross? He will be dead soon, surely. You turn to go, feeling that your job has been done and all you want to do is get as far away from this as possible. But the guard barks at you, telling you to stand still. You freeze where you are. It's not worth doing anything to antagonize the situation. After all, they are the ones holding the hammers and the spears and the swords. He shouts at you to pass the nails. You bend down slowly, your mind rushing with thoughts and questions. The nails are long and weathered. How many other bodies have they pierced? With your hand shaking, you pass them to the outstretched hand of the guard and place them in his palm. He grabs them angrily and turns to place one on the wrist of the prisoner. He raises the hammer in his other hand, but you can't look and turn your head away before you hear the hammer hit the nail. You hear the prisoner shout, but there's something else. No, surely you must have misheard. You turn back and look at the prisoner stretched out on the crossbeam, lying on his bloodied back, his face looking to the heavens. Is he praying? As each blow of the hammer comes down, you hear the prisoner say, "Father, forgive them. They don't know what they are doing." Surely not. This man is praying for those who are killing him, those who are condemning him, those who are shouting abuse at him. Is he praying for me too? How does that make you feel, to see this man displaying a spirit so selfless and forgiving? As you reflect on this journey, Think about the times when your path has taken a sudden turn, when something has happened that has made you look right into the face of Christ. It may neither be sweet nor pretty, but hard, real, and compelling. As you feel the weight of the cross on your back, feel Christ's presence too. Know that he carries your sin, but he does not condemn you. He looks at you with love, tenderness, and compassion. Remember that when the road seems long and unbearable, let Jesus' strength flow through you. He has gone this way before. He will lead you through to a new life. So allow him to show that to you now.